Ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct pleasure to welcome Senator Tom Cotton to the show. How are you doing today, Senator?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me back on.
I appreciate you coming back on. I know you might be a little bit tired from last night, so let us dive right into this. You were able to get cloture finally out of the Democrats, and where are we now in the process of reopening the government?
Steve, I'm glad that, now almost 6 weeks on that we have a handful of Democrats who have come to their senses to end this needless shutdown. Here in Arkansas, we have almost 250,000 people who benefit from the food stamp program. We have more than 6,000 military personnel, thousands and thousands of federal employees. And of course, we have all Arkansans who may be flying to go on a business trip, go see a child or a grandchild, go to a wedding, and we've had dozens of flights canceled across the state over the last few days. It didn't have to happen. The Democrats could have just voted to fund the government 6 weeks ago, and we could have debated anything they wanted to debate, healthcare, immigration, anything else. But of course, we never gave in to this hostage-taking. The deal that is on the Senate floor right now and that will be voted out soon is exactly what was in the offing 6 weeks ago. We're going to have a short-term funding bill that will allow us to complete, hopefully, all the year-long funding deals that Congress should do every year.
All 12.
Part of this deal is 3 of the bills, and they're important bills. They're the agriculture bill, the Veterans Affairs bill, the military construction bill. These are all high priorities for our state. And that's where we were on September 30th, and that's where we are today as well. I know the president has also pledged to the Democrats who are voting for this bill that he'll reverse some of the reductions in force that have occurred over the last 6 weeks. That's obviously not much of a concession because he is simply reversing reductions in force that never would have happened if there hadn't been a government shutdown in the first place. So I hope we begin to see a little more sanity prevail from the Democrats in the next 3 months before we have the next one of these funding deadlines, and that we can pass the remaining 9 bills, all of which, again, are very important to Arkansas. The Department of Defense bill, the transportation bill. There's a lot of issues in here that Arkansans care about that I hope the Democrats who are willing to cooperate with us will continue to cooperate on.
Yes. And now, Senator, you got my nickname for your colleague from California. And now let me give you what we affectionately refer to as Chuckles the Evil Clown Schumer on this show. Of course, his update theme song is Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. So I want to read you a quote. Of course, we all know this is about subsidies, but I've done some homework about this. Prior to COVID, after Obamacare, or the Unaffordable Care Act, was passed by the Democrats with 0 Republican support, they started giving the healthcare insurance companies about $500 billion in taxpayer subsidies. Now, after the Build Back broke and the American Rescue Plan were passed, those subsidies increased between $300 to $450 billion. So actually almost $1 trillion in taxpayer subsidies. And we still have people being denied health care by the insurance companies, yet their stocks most of them are up almost 1,000%, and everything else. And this is Chuckles the Evil Clown Schumer's quote. And I quote, "They showed that they are against," meaning, of course, the Republican Party, "any health care reform." And then his other big quote was on why he's so vehemently against these Democrats that went with the Republicans. And I quote again, "This health care crisis is so severe, so urgent, so devastating for families back home that I cannot, in good faith, support this CR that fails to address this healthcare crisis," unquote. This is their doing. They created this crisis. $1 trillion is half of the $2 trillion that the government borrows each year beyond what it takes in tax revenue. I think this is the perfect opportunity for the Republicans to say, "You're absolutely right, Chuckles," and read these quotes and say, "We're going to repeal Obamacare and that's broken and start completely from scratch to fix it." Your thoughts?
Yeah, Steve, so first off, let's be perfectly clear why we're in this bind. It's not because Chuck Schumer wanted to extend the Biden Obamacare COVID bonuses. It's because Chuck Schumer is scared of his own radical left wing and some of his Democratic senators who hate Donald Trump and who frankly hate the people who voted for Donald Trump, people like us in Arkansas. And for Chuck Schumer, the Biden-Obamacare COVID bonuses was largely a pretext. But even if you take Chuck Schumer's statements at face value on health care, he's right. Health insurance in America is too expensive. The reason it's too expensive is not because these Biden-Obamacare COVID bonuses are expiring. It's because Obamacare made it too expensive. Going back 14 years now, insurance premiums have continued to increase since Obamacare came into law. And just over the last few years, as the Democrats threw hundreds of billions of dollars at insurance companies, not at individuals and families, but at insurance companies, guess what they've done? They've increased the price of insurance. And all of that is done without any safeguards against fraud, and therefore you have a massive amount of fraud in these Obamacare bonus programs without regard to costs $350 billion to do this just over the next 10 years. Going to high-income families, I mean, in Arkansas, many families making over $125,000 a year are getting these bonus payments. So it's not Republicans who have made health insurance too expensive in America, because no Republican voted for Obamacare, no Republican voted for these COVID bonuses. It's Democrats and Obamacare. And the way to fix that is to fix our health care in America, not to simply continue to throw hundreds of billions of dollars after a broken Obamacare system.
Yes, and Senator, we all know that, Senator Comrade Bolshevik Bernie Sanders was out there lying all over the news this morning. But here's what I did, Senator. I pulled the health care contributions from 1990 when Obamacare passed through now. And none other than Comrade Bernie is at the top of the list at $23,193,451 is what he has received from the health insurance and pharmaceutical industries. Then I moved down. The next highest recipient, and he's only been in the Senate a lot shorter than Sanders, would be Senator Raphael Warnock at $14,726,875. And I can't call her Pocahontas like the president does, because Pocahontas was a virtuous person. So I call her Sitting Bull Sugar. Elizabeth Warren is number 3. Senator Bozeman found that funny too last week. He laughed. he definitely like Chuckles the Evil Clown Schumer too. I told him, if you want to call him that on the Senate floor, be my guest to borrow it, Senator. But anyway, Sitting Bull Sugar is number 3 at $10,477,000. And 68% of all this money from the insurance companies goes to your colleagues on the other side of the aisle. And that's very telling that they're voting, as you put it, for the COVID bonuses and everything else. At the same time, Americans are paying higher premiums and getting less health care coverage from the insurance companies. So definitely needs to be fixed. And the one other thing that I would have to say, Senator Fetterman and Senator King, I forget the third Democrat or caucus, I know King is an independent that caucuses with the Democrats, but I have to be honest with you. I think it was Senator Shaheen was the third Democrat that was voting for cloture this whole time. But Hassan didn't surprise me as much, and Rosen, and then of course Cortez Masto from Nevada. But I have to tell you, Tim Kaine and Dick Durbin voting for cloture on this, that one caught me completely by surprise. I did not think that they would be one of the 8.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, I can't really account for what my Democratic colleagues are thinking most of the time. I wish there had been more than 8. I wish there had been, 47 of them, 6 weeks ago. We wouldn't have had to go through all this hardship and have so many Arkansas families struggling to make ends meet or have their flights canceled or what have you.
Yes.
I'm just glad that enough of them finally came to their senses and that we can get the government working for the people of Arkansas once again, and then hopefully use the time that this bill will afford through the end of January to pass all those funding bills so we don't have to go through all of this needless hardship again.
Absolutely. Today is day 41 of America Held Hostage, and even CNN this morning said the Democrats just owned the government shutdown when they did this last night, and admitted they're the ones responsible for the shutdown. And that's so true. And some of the media, the fake news media, has been a little bit honest about this. Of course, the other ones are still blaming conservatives and Republicans and MAGA. But, Senator, I'm glad. When do you think the government will be able to spin fully back up? How long is that going to take?
Well, it's really right now, Steve, in the hands of Democratic senators. There's a lot of procedural steps that the Senate has to take to pass a bill, but it's very common for us to skip over those steps if all senators agree. So we're hopeful that just in the next few hours, we'll be able to condense all of those down to just a few votes this afternoon and cast those votes and send this bill over to the House. And I know Speaker Johnson has already told his members to start making their way back to Washington. And then we can hopefully have them back and voting on the bill as soon as Wednesday, and it'll go straight to the president's desk.
Perfect. And Senator, I know that you've got to get to these votes. So in closing, I have one more question that I think is very relevant. As me as a retired soldier, and you also honorably served, as well as both our fathers. This concern with China and Russia, and both you and CIA Director John Ratcliffe have said that China and Russia are secretly testing nuclear weapons. And Russia, of course, has been boasting about their hypersonic missile capabilities. And President Trump has come out and said, well, then the United States is going to have to test and modernize too. And both of you gentlemen backed the president. Any thoughts on this and where this might be headed?
Well, Steve, as is usually the case, President Trump asserts something. Liberals in the media and the Democratic Party go wild about it, say that it's baseless, when in reality it's strongly grounded in the truth. And the fact of the matter is, as John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, said, and as I confirmed as chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Russia and China have been engaged in certain kinds of supercritical nuclear testing. And we would be foolish to unilaterally disarm ourselves. There are sound reasons that our nuclear scientists and engineers need to engage in certain kind of testing. And we're not talking about giant mushroom clouds in the desert or out in the Pacific Island. We're talking about minor yield producing tests in underground facilities that are safe and contained, but will make sure that our current existing weapons, which go back decades, are still fully functional, and to test new weapons designed to counteract some of what you mentioned, like with hypersonic weapons or some of Russia's new nuclear weapons as well. So as usual, this is just liberals saying that President Trump is once again asserting baseless things. In reality, they're unfortunately based in fact, because Russia and China are modernizing their nuclear arsenal at a very rapid pace.
Yes, and we must, the best offense is a good defense, and have this ready that nobody dares want to go to war with us. So I can assure you that most of the audience agrees with yours and the president's conclusions on this, and the directors. Senator, I really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day today to come and be on the air with me.
All right. Thank you, Steve.